The scream doesn't come from a person. It comes from the video on Lena's phone. It plays even though her volume is off. A sharp echo that makes the floor under her feel hollow, like something is moving inside it. She's replaying a new Mannequin challenge clip that everyone keeps sharing. But the moment she hits pause, the frozen figures on screen don't stay frozen. One tilts its head toward her, slow and deliberate, as if noticing she's looking at it. She tries to convince herself it's a glitch, but her reflection in the black screen flips its gaze a second too late. What if your reflection kept recording after you looked away? She pulls the phone closer, heart pushing too loudly against her ribs. The tall figure in the center wasn't tagged, wasn't listed, wasn't supposed to be there at all. And as the video loops again, it lifts its finger, pointing right at her. Lena replays the video again, this time with the lights on, hoping bright rooms make dark things feel less real. But every time the camera in the clip passes the tall figure, its head turns a little more. She checks the comments. No one mentions it. People joke, laugh, repost, pretending everything looks normal. She wonders if she's the only one seeing it, or if everyone else is just pretending. When she closes the app, her phone vibrates with a notification she didn't sign up for. Do you want to continue the challenge? She drops the phone. Arlo tells her someone is just messing with her, but his voice wavers as he picks it up. The phone screen shows a paused frame of him from an hour ago in his own kitchen, frozen mid-movement. They both know he wasn't filming. Arlo tries to laugh it off, but the sound dies halfway out of his throat. Lena keeps pacing, pushing her hair behind her ear every few seconds as if the movement helps her think. She starts comparing timestamps from dozens of Mannequin challenge videos uploaded within the last 24 hours. Every single one includes the same figure, same height, same impossible posture. But the faces shift slightly from clip to clip, as if learning how to look human. Arlo asks if she's sure it's not just a reused prop or filter, but she shakes her head. Props don't follow people, she whispers. Her stomach twists when she realizes the figure appeared behind her in a clip from earlier today. She wasn't even participating. She was just walking. Lena decides to test a theory. She asks Arlo to freeze like the challenge while she films him with her phone. He rolls his eyes but agrees, holding a casual pose. The moment she presses record, the room's air turns heavy, like something thick is coating her lungs. The shadows stretch toward Arlo's feet. Through the phone screen, something stands behind him. Tall, still, watching. But when she lowers the phone, the spot behind him is empty. She raises it again. There it is. Arlo asks what she sees, but she tells him not to move. Her hands shake harder with each second the recording continues. Finally, she drops the phone, and the moment it hits the floor, the figure disappears. Lena can't stop shaking. Arlo insists they take a break, but she's already scrolling again, desperate for answers. She searches older challenge videos from years ago, long before this resurgence. Hidden in the background of one from a mall in 2016, she spots it. The same wrong figure, the same impossible posture. Her stomach drops. This didn't start in 2025. It never stopped. The comments on the old clip mention people disappearing after filming it. Arlo swallows hard, voice barely steady as he says they should stop looking. But Lena can't, because the last video she plays isn't old at all. It's from an hour ago, uploaded by an account with no name, no history. And the person, frozen in the center, looks exactly like her. Lena doesn't sleep that night. She keeps replaying the duplicated version of herself in the new video, searching for any sign it's a filter or deepfake. But the longer she watches, the more the figure feels real. Too real. Too real. Its shoulders twitch once, like it's adjusting to a pose it wasn't built for. Arlo tries to convince her it's someone who looks like her, but even he can't hide the fear in his eyes. The worst part isn't the copy. It's the still one standing next to it, staring straight into the camera as if aware she would eventually see this. She wonders if the challenge is more than a trend. What if it's calling people? And what if she already answered without knowing? Or The next morning, Lena drags Arlo back to the parking garage where she first noticed the figure hiding behind a parked car. Sunlight slices through the concrete gaps, but the place still feels colder than it should. She replays the video from the night before, trying to line up the angle where the figure appeared. Arlo walks the perimeter, pretending not to jump at every echo. Lena wonders how many people disappeared here without anyone noticing. She keeps imagining the figure stepping out from behind a pillar the moment she turns her back. Something about the silence feels staged, as if the garage itself is holding its breath, waiting for the next pose to begin. Lena finds a timestamp match between multiple challenge videos filmed miles apart. Same minute, same second. She realizes people aren't choosing when to film. Something is choosing for it. Arlo suggests they look for someone who posted one of those synced clips. They track an account to an abandoned storefront downtown. The inside smells like dust and old wires. Phones lie scattered across the floor, screens cracked as if dropped mid-recording. Lena's pulse thumps in her ears. The last uploaded clip from the account shows a crowd frozen in perfect poses, except for one figure in the corner moving frame by frame, crawling closer between transitions. She wonders if the challenge ever ends, or if it just waits for the next body to join. They bring the recovered phone back to Arlo's apartment. Every time Lena tries to open the last video, the screen splits into glitchy fragments, almost like static is trying to form a shape. When it finally loads, the camera is shaking, filming the group doing the challenge in a narrow hallway. But halfway through, the challenge breaks. One participant's head snaps sideways too fast, like someone adjusting a mannequin. Another person's knees bend backward. Arlo looks away, but Lena keeps watching. When the video ends, the screen shows a message. "You are next in line." Arlo demands they throw the phone away, but Lena whispers that maybe the message wasn't from the phone. Maybe it was from whatever was in the video. Lena can't shake the feeling that something is watching her through every screen she owns. She turns off her phone, her laptop, even unplugs her TV. But the silence feels worse. Arlo tries to reassure her, but even he jumps when her darkened TV screen flickers for a split second. They both see it. Her reflection, but standing wrong, leaning forward like it's pressing its face to the glass. Arlo rushes over and pulls the plug completely, but the screen stays on just long enough for the reflection to smile. Lena feels her knees weaken. She wonders if the challenge is no longer online. Maybe it's already here. And maybe the copies don't need videos anymore. Lena decides the only way to understand what's happening is to test it herself. Arlo hates the idea, but she's already setting up her phone in the center of the room, angling it toward an empty space, so nothing can hide in the corners. She stands in front of it and tells Arlo to watch both her and the screen. The moment she freezes, the room changes. The air thickens, like something is breathing beside them. Arlo mutters that nothing is happening, but then he stops mid-sentence. His eyes widen as he stares at the phone. Lena wants to ask what he sees, but she can't move. She can't blink. She feels something behind her, close enough that its presence makes her spine pulse. Arlo whispers her name, voice thin with dread. "There's something copying you." Lena gasps as she breaks out of her frozen pose, stumbling forward. Arlo nearly drops the phone. He keeps repeating that the thing behind her wasn't just copying, it was learning. Every small detail, every shift in her breathing, every tiny motion she didn't realize she made. When she replays the footage, her stomach knots. The still one doesn't just mimic her. It reacts before she moves, like it's anticipating her decisions. Arlo covers his mouth as if he's trying not to panic. Lena realizes something worse. The entity looks clearer in each frame, as if the act of filming is giving it shape. She wonders if pressing record is the real invitation. And if so, she already opened the door wide. Lena insists they try one more test, not to mimic the challenge, but to trick the figure. Arlo hesitates, but agrees. They set the phone to record a blank wall. No posing, no freezing, nothing to imitate. But a few seconds into the recording, the shadows on the wall begin shifting. Lena steps back, hand covering her mouth. The shadow takes the shape of a person, but not either of them. Its outline trembles like it's struggling to hold form. Arlo whispers that the figure doesn't need them in frame. It just needs a moment where stillness exists. Lena wonders if every silent corner, every empty hallway, every paused second is enough for it to slip through. What if motion isn't protection anymore? What if stillness is the doorway? The footage gets worse. They film the hallway again, but this time Lena walks through the frame. When they replay it, two versions of her appear. One walking normally and another standing completely still, facing the camera. Her breath catches in her throat. The still version doesn't blink. It doesn't sway. It holds her exact posture too perfectly, like the entity studied her long enough to create a second version. Arlo wants to delete the video immediately, but Lena stops him. She wants to see the final frame. When it plays, the still version of her tilts its head just a few millimeters, but enough to prove it wasn't a glitch. It was acknowledging her, and she can't shake the feeling it already knows her better than she knows herself. Lena's hands won't stop shaking. She tells Arlo they need to test one final idea, recording themselves from two angles at once. Arlo protests, but Lena argues that the entity might reveal more when trapped between perspectives. They set up two phones facing each other. The moment recording starts, the air turns heavy once more. Lena feels something move between the cameras, like wind squeezing through a narrow space. When they check the first phone, the hallway is empty. But when they check the second, the space between the two cameras is occupied by a figure neither of them saw with their eyes. It stands tall, motionless, but its head is turned toward them as if it was never meant to be caught from both sides. Lena wonders if they pushed too far. Maybe there are angles humans were never meant to see. By the next morning, the Mannequin challenge has exploded online. Every feed Lena opens is saturated with people freezing in malls, parks, classrooms, even hospitals. At first, the videos look normal. But the more she watches, the more wrong things she notices. A figure leaning too close to the camera. Someone frozen in an impossible angle. Shadows splitting in two like they're trying to detach. Arlo tells her to stop scrolling, but she shakes her head. People don't realize what they're inviting. They're copying a trend that was never meant for them. She scrolls past a live stream where thousands of viewers urge participants to freeze harder, hold still longer. Lena feels her chest tighten as one person's arm bends the wrong way mid-broadcast. Yet no one comments on it. She wonders if people can even see the wrongness anymore, or if something is helping them ignore it. Lena and Arlo rush to the mall featured in one of the most recent videos. When they arrive, the air is thick with silence, like the building itself is waiting. Clusters of people stand frozen in poses, some holding shopping bags, some mid-step, some with smiles stretched too wide. Lena steps closer, heart pounding, and realizes some of the frozen people aren't breathing. Arlo grabs her arm, whispering that they should leave, but she can't. She leans in toward one woman whose head is tilted at a sharp angle. Her eyes don't blink, not even once. Lena steps back, trembling. A sound echoes through the mall. Soft, deliberate footsteps that don't match any pattern of human movement. The frozen crowd seems to lean toward the noise, as if acknowledging something only they can sense. As they move deeper into the mall, Lena notices a pattern. Every cluster of frozen participants forms a circle with an empty space in the center, like they're all waiting for someone or something to join them. Arlo points out security cameras that have turned toward the circles, even though they're not motorized. A ringing sound echoes from the upper level, sharp and metallic. When Lena looks up, she sees a group frozen mid-challenge. But one figure stands out. Its arms are slightly too long, its neck too rigid, its head cocked at an unnatural angle. The moment she locks eyes with it, every light on the floor flickers. Arlo whispers that they should run, but the mall goes silent, and the frozen figures seem to shift a fraction, like they're tightening the circle around the empty space. Lena and Arlo duck into an empty clothing store to hide, but the mannequins lining the walls make the space feel even more suffocating. Some are real mannequins. Stiff plastic, chipped paint. Others look too real. Lena reaches for one mannequin's arm just to confirm it's fake, but before she touches it, she notices faint bruising on the skin. Her breath catches. That one isn't plastic. Arlo urges her to leave, voice cracking as every mannequin seems to lean slightly closer, bodies angled as if they had been waiting for them. Lena backs away, gripping a shelf for balance. She can't shake the feeling that the challenge isn't spreading, it's awakening something. Each pose, each freeze, each still moment is an invitation. And people are unknowingly offering themselves up. They slip out of the store and move toward the emergency exit corridor, but the moment they reach it, Lena freezes mid-step. Not because she chooses to, because the lights blink off for a second, and when they turn back on, something changes. Every digital advertisement screen along the hall displays the same message. Hold still. Arlo grabs Lena's hand and pulls her toward the exit, but the hallway stretches behind them in an unsettling way, like the world is warping. To keep them inside, they break into a run. As they push through the final door into the loading area, Lena turns back once. All the screens now show her. Not a photo, a live feed of her frozen mid-motion. She didn't freeze, but the version on the screens did. Lena and Arlo barricade themselves inside Lena's apartment, shoving furniture against doors as if simple wood can stop something that moves through reflections. Lena digs through old files on her laptop, searching for anything about the original Mannequin Challenge trend. She finds archived news articles, old clips, forgotten posts. The more she digs, the more patterns line up. In 2016, several disappearances occurred in areas where the challenge spiked. People who participated were reported missing within days, never found. Back then, no one connected the dots. Everyone assumed they ran away or simply vanished without explanation. Arlo leans over her shoulder, whispering that maybe the challenge wasn't invented by people at all. Maybe it was introduced. Lena scrolls faster, chest tightening. One old clip shows a blurry figure standing behind a group mid-pose, its posture too still even for the challenge. She realizes this wasn't a new invasion. I've been here before. Lena searches deeper into older forums, ignored message boards, and vanished accounts. She uncovers a thread from years ago where someone claimed their friend froze during the challenge and never moved again, even after the camera stopped. The post was dismissed as a hoax, but the attached video tells another story. The person stands perfectly still while everyone else adjusts between takes. Their eyes remain fixed forward, unblinked. Arlo's voice shakes as he points out a detail Lena missed. In the far corner of the video, behind a rack of clothes, the same tall figure stands watching, not moving, not blinking. The exact same presence from the modern clips. Lena feels nauseous. These things don't age. They don't change. They just wait for humans to repeat the same mistake over and over until the world becomes quiet enough for them to blend in completely. Lena plays the oldest clip she can find, a mall recording from early 2016. The video shakes slightly as the cameraman walks, narrating how funny it is that people can freeze so well. But near the escalators, something is wrong. One figure stands facing away from the group, arms too long, neck too high. And when the camera pans back just a second later, the figure is gone. Lena rewinds the frame again and again. The disappearance isn't a cut. It happens mid-motion. Arlo paces behind her, panic rising with each replay. Lena zooms in on the frame, and her breath stops. The shape of the tall figure looks familiar, not in its posture, but in its silhouette, it resembles her. Not exactly, but enough to twist something cold into her stomach. She wonders if the entities choose people, or if they create. Lena digs into missing person cases from the same years as the original challenge. Faces blur into patterns. Young adults who joined the trend and disappeared days later. No bodies, no sightings, just sudden erasure. Arlo leans over her shoulder as she compares timestamps, and something horrific surfaces. The same entity, the same elongated outline, appears behind different victims across multiple states. Lena feels her throat constrict as she realizes that the original trend wasn't random fun. It was a harvesting pattern. Each wave of participation gave the entities access to new faces, new shapes, new people to imitate. Arlo asks why the resurgence started now. Lena whispers the answer before she can stop herself. Because the world froze again. Videos got shorter. People stopped moving. We made it easier for them. As Lena pieces everything together, a chilling realization settles over her. The still ones don't just mimic humans. They replace them. The challenge provides cover. Thousands of people freezing at once, making it impossible to see which ones never unfreeze. Arlo asks the question she's been avoiding. What happens to the originals? Lena doesn't answer because she's found something worse. A 2016 video showing the background of a crowded mall. There, behind the frozen group, stands a smaller form shaped, almost like a child, but with the same blank expression. It tilts its head exactly like the modern ones do. These things didn't evolve. They've always known how to mimic. She feels her pulse racing as she wonders if the entities are growing stronger, or if the world is simply becoming easier to impersonate. The apartment feels smaller by the hour. Every reflective surface starts to feel like an open door. Lena covers mirrors, turns screens face down, and unplugs everything she can. But Arlo keeps spotting slight movements in the dark corners where nothing should be. She decides to go through her own old videos. Childhood clips, school projects, anything recorded before the challenge existed. Arlo tells her it's pointless, but she needs to know how far back this goes. When she opens a folder from years ago, her breath falters. In a birthday video filmed by her parents, she sees herself blowing out candles. Beside her is a tall figure reflected in the microwave door, too tall to be anyone she knew. It's facing the camera, posture rigid, like it was waiting for someone to notice it. Arlo stares at the paused frame in horror. The entity wasn't following her. It was already there. Lena scrolls through more clips, her heartbeat pounding in her ears. Every few years, in some reflection, some background, some glass surface, the same figure appears, always still, always watching. She never noticed, because she never expected to see something unnatural hiding in familiar memories. Arlo tries to reassure her, but his voice barely holds steady. Even he knows this means she wasn't chosen recently. She's been marked for years. In one video from a school hallway, the figure's head is turned slightly more than before, as if following her movement. She feels a cold panic spreading through her chest. What if the challenge Resurgence wasn't to recruit people, but to activate the ones it had been studying? What if she was part of its plan long before she knew the challenge existed? Arlo insists they stop looking, but Lena keeps scrolling, desperate for the truth. Eventually, she reaches the last video. One taken just a week before the challenge Resurgence. It's a clip of her walking home at sunset, recorded automatically by a smart doorbell. At first, it looks normal, but as she steps into the frame, her reflection appears in a passing car window. A full second before she walks past it, her reflection stands facing her, still and silent, like a warning. Arlo grabs her shoulder, saying they need to leave the apartment, but Lena shakes her head. Leaving now won't change what she's seeing. Her reflection wasn't mirroring her. It was watching her approach. She suddenly wonders, has she ever been alone? Or has one of them always been waiting just outside her, a line of sight? Lena and Arlo pack to leave, stuffing bags with anything essential, but halfway through, The lights flicker. Then the apartment goes silent. Every appliance shuts off at once. The quiet is so deep. It feels like the walls are absorbing the sound. Arlo reaches for the door, but Lena pulls him back. Something feels wrong. Wrong in a way she can't explain. The shadows stretch just a little too far across the floor, like they're reaching toward her feet. She steps back slowly, holding her breath. Arlo whispers her name, but his voice sounds distant. The air thickens, heavy enough to press against her ribs. She closes her eyes for a second, just to steady herself. But when she opens them again, one thought cuts through everything. The apartment isn't empty anymore. The figure doesn't move. It doesn't breathe. It simply watches. Arlo inches closer to Lena, whispering that they need to reach the hallway. But every time they step back, the room feels smaller, as if space itself is folding inward. Lena lifts her phone with trembling hands, switching it to camera mode even though she knows what that will do. The moment the screen activates, the entity becomes sharper, more defined, as if gaining strength from being seen. Arlo begs her to put the phone down, but she keeps it raised. Something inside her needs to know. She focuses the camera on the still one. For a split second, the screen glitches, and she sees not one figure, but two. The second one stands right behind Arlo, and it looks exactly like him. Arlo lunges away from the copy behind him, slamming into the wall as Lena drops her phone. The screen cracks, but the image lingers in her mind. Two versions of him standing inches apart. Arlo demands to know if the thing touched him, but Lena can barely form words. The air feels colder now, heavier, like the space around them is tightening. The still one in the corner shifts its head a fraction, almost like it's listening to their fear. Lena realizes the copies don't just imitate people. They replace them slowly, starting with posture, expression, then breath. Arlo keeps asking if she's sure it looked like him, but his voice sounds wrong. Slightly out of rhythm, a second too delayed. She wonders if the replacement has already started. Arlo tries to convince Lena they should escape through the fire exit. She nods, but her eyes stay locked on him. He notices and snaps at her, asking why she's staring like he's the problem. She can't answer. There's something different about the way he stands. Too still between breaths. Too steady in a moment filled with terror. She reaches out to touch his arm, and he doesn't react until a second too late. Her stomach drops. Arlo insists he's fine, but the more he talks, the less human he sounds. The cadence of his voice feels rehearsed, as if spoken through a memory of how humans should speak. A chilling question forms in her mind. If a copy replaces someone slowly, how long before the person inside disappears completely? A distant noise echoes from the stairwell. A low, dragging sound followed by a hollow thud. Arlo tells her not to look, but Lena edges toward the door anyway. When she peers through the peephole, the hallway floors shimmer with faint reflections, like water rippling. But when she realizes the reflections aren't matching the hallway, dread floods her. The reflected hallway is full of figures standing in perfect rows, all facing her door. Arlo pulls her back, telling her they need to hide, but his grip is too strong, too precise, as if measuring her movements. Lena jerks free and stumbles, heart pounding. She knows now the danger isn't just outside. She turns slowly toward him, afraid of what she'll see. The way he breathes seems wrong. Too smooth, too even, too practiced. Lena backs away from the door, chest tight, breath sharp. Arlo tries to reassure her, but the tone is flat, like repeating lines someone else fed him. She whispers that something is wrong with him, and for a moment his face softens, genuinely, painfully, but then it freezes. His expression locks in place like a mask settling onto his skin. Lena steps back, tears forming as he stands there, unmoving, eyes wide. His chest rises once, then stops. The air thickens, pressing down on her as the room grows unbearably silent. She calls his name, but he doesn't blink, doesn't twitch. Doesn't breathe. It's as if something turned him off. She steps closer, shaking, and the truth hits her. Arlo isn't frozen because he's scared. He's frozen because something else has taken over. Lena steps closer to Arlo, whispering his name, begging him to move, but he stays locked in place like a mannequin waiting to be arranged. Her phone vibrates on the floor, screen cracked, but a new recording has started on its own. She picks it up with trembling fingers. The camera shows her standing there, staring at Arlo. But there's something wrong. Her reflection in the screen blinks before she does. She freezes, breath trapped in her throat. The reflection tilts its head slightly, mimicking the behavior she's seen in every entity so far. Then it smiles, not with warmth, but with recognition. It's been watching her longer than she ever knew. As the recording continues, the reflection leans closer to the lens. Lena drops the phone, stepping away in terror. But the last thing she sees before the screen goes black is her reflected self, still staring.